Hi everyone and welcome to this new video tutorial. Today we are going to build a multiplayer to-do list app with React, Redux and Liveblocks. Let's jump into the code. This tutorial is also available on our website. I will put all the links that you need in the description. So let's start the project by creating a new app using the npx create react app command. I'll pass the name of the project as a parameter and I will generate a new React project. My project is created. I am going to open it in my favorite IDE. The next thing will be to install all the packages that we need to develop our app. We will need a Redux, React Redux, Redux.js toolkit, Liveblocks client and Liveblocks Redux. So let's create a new file called store.js. This file will be our Redux store. We need to import some function. The first one will be create client from the Liveblocks client. It allows us to create a new client to interact with Liveblocks APIs. The second one will be answer from Liveblocks/Redux. This one is to add Liveblocks features on your Redux store. After that, we will also need configure store and create slice from Redux.js toolkit. The Redux.js toolkit provides some utility functions to help you use Redux. Let's begin by creating a new Liveblocks client. For this one, we will need a public API key and we will go in our dashboard to get the key value. So open your Liveblocks dashboard, go to the API keys tab and copy your public key. The first thing to do with a Redux store is to create an initial state, which means it will be the initial state of our application. After that, we'll create a new slice using the create slice function from the Redux.js toolkit. We'll name the slice, which name will be state, and pass the initial state value. We will also create a reducers property. For now, it will be empty. Let's continue with the make store function. You can think of it like a factory function. Its role will be to create a new store. The make store function will return a call for the configure store function. As a parameter, we pass an object with properties like reducer, so we pass the slice.reducer properties, and the answers array. This one allows you to add some functionality and extend the features provided by the store, and here we can pass the Liveblocks answer with the Liveblocks client, which means that it allows us to connect Liveblocks to our Redux store. And then we export the store. So let's start the project using the package.json, and we have a small script, which is the start script. It will start the project and we can open a new browser tab. The project is running, let's continue. Our client has been declared in the store.js file. Now we'll need to use the provider from React Redux and the store that we've created to connect our app to Liveblocks. Now we need to encapsulate our application in the provider from Redux, which means every component that's using Redux will be able to access to the store. And we pass the store as a props of the provider component. Let's jump to the app.js file. We'll remove all the existing code and we'll start from scratch. First, we need to import React and use effect. We'll also import use dispatch from React Redux, and we'll import actions from Liveblocks Redux. Don't forget to re-import the app.css file, which contains all the CSS styles that we need, and we'll create a new default component. Its name will be app, and it will return only a div and a text. Just to check everything is working properly. Okay, we are good. Let's continue. We will use the useDispatch hook to create the dispatch function. This function will allow us to dispatch any new action and update our store. We'll create a new use effect. Don't forget to add the dispatch function as a dependency of the new use effect created. It will prevent unnecessary rendering. Now we have to connect our application to a Liveblocks room. For that, we'll need to use action.enterRoom function with the room ID, and it will allow us to connect to a new Liveblocks room, an existing one if it is already used. I will extract the room name or the room ID in a constant. The enterRoom function takes a second parameter, which will be the initial state. It means that you can initialize the room storage directly from this method call. After that, we will need to return a cleanup function. This one will dispatch the action.liveRoom function call, and will call the function with the room name. Next, we will create a new component. The component will be named whoisHere. Its goal will be to display the number of other users connected on the same room. For that, we will need to use the useSelector method and pass a predicate to select the part that we want to use in our state. So state.liveblocks.others.length, and we'll have the number of other users connected. After that, we just need to return the value and display the value where we want. The component is created. Let's add it on the app function. So whoisHere, and we'll refresh the application. As you can see, it is working. We can display the number of other users connected on the room. I will just add the CSS from the tutorial. You can find it on the website to give a new style to our application. Now it's time to implement our to-dos. First, we'll create draft property in our initial state. The draft property is the existing to-dos just before it is submitted to the client, and we'll also add an isTyping Boolean property. Basically, when someone has a draft, someone is typing. We'll also create a new method in our reducer. This one will be setDraft, so it will be a new action. This method will update our state. Two properties. isTyping, which means every time you are typing a draft, we will notify that someone is typing, and the draft value will be updated also with what you are typing in the input. Now we need to export the setDraft function to make it available for other files. The last thing to do is to update our presence, which means that we can push data on the presence block, and this data will be updated in real time. So we'll just bind the isTyping property from our store to the Liveblocks presence. In other words, when the presence will be updated, we'll know in real time if someone is typing. Let's use what we've just created to create a new component, which will be named someone is typing, and this one will display a specific message when someone is adding a new to-do. So we can use the useSelector function to select a specific part of the state, passing a new predicate, which will be targeting state.liveblocks.others, and we'll call the sum method because others is an array, and we'll check if there is any user that is typing with the isTyping to true value. Now we can determine if someone is typing. We'll just return a new component for displaying a specific message if someone is typing. After that, we need to create the input. Just before, we have to create the draft value, which will be extracted from the store, and then we can proceed to create the input. Let's create the input. So there is one thing that you need to understand. The value of the input will be connected to the draft value that we extracted from the store, and we'll also need to use the onChange event, which is a DOM event, to dispatch a new action and call the setDraft action. This is allowing us to update the draft value every time someone is changing the input value. I just forgot to import the setDraft function. I will do so here. So import setDraft. We will also need to add the someone is typing component to the application. Let's test the application, and as you can see, I can see my message someone is typing when I am modifying the input on one tab. The other window is up to date. We just missed the code to push new to-dos in the store. So let's go back in our store and add a to-dos array. So I've correctly set the initial state, and I will create a new method in our register, which will be named addToDo. Its goal will be to update the isTyping property and push a new to-do value in the to-dos array. Just after pushing the new value, we reset the draft state value. Now we can add the delete to-do function in our register. Its goal will be to delete a specific to-dos from the to-dos array. So we'll use the splice method. You will see later that we only pass the index of the to-do to delete to discriminate the good one. So I will export the newly created methods, addToDo and deleteToDo, to make sure they are available in the application. I will also update the answer options by passing a new properties, which is storage mapping. This one tells Liveblocks client to store the to-dos that we have on our store in the Liveblocks storage, which means you can synchronize your Liveblocks storage with your Redux store by just making this property to true. Let's go back to the app.js and import add and delete to do. So I extract the to-dos with a use selector and pass a state function state.todos. Now we'll use the onKeyDown event. We'll detect if we are typing on the enter key by using the event.keyValue, and if it is the case, we'll dispatch a new addToDo action. This action will take the draft value and push the value in our to-dos list. The last thing will be to display our to-do list. So we'll have to map through all the to-dos value, and we'll also need the to-do object and the index. So we will return a new div for each to-do, which will contain the to-do value and a button to delete the to-do. And we'll just use the onClick event on the button, on the delete button, to call the delete to-do action. And voila, we have a complete multiplayer to-do app developed with Redux, React and Liveblocks. So let's test the app. As you can see, if I'm updating some value here, publish the video tutorial, it is updated in real time for the other client connected on the same room. So we've connected our Redux store to the Liveblocks storage API, the storage block. And if you want to consult or see your data, you can go on the dashboard and open the rooms page. On this page, we'll be able to find everything that you've stored for each room on Liveblocks. So as you can see here, we can see our to-do, we can delete the storage, and there is also APIs that can allows you to get the data. The delete button is working properly. I hope you liked this video. Feel free to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!